Alright, we got ourselves a reading today of Yu-Gi-Oh! Quest Side A, The Four Musketeers by Spooky Electronics. You wanna know what can happen in 4 months? In the time it's been since this was published, and the time since I'm reading it now, Spooky has not only decided to bring back Yu-Gi-Oh! Quest because it was originally Tales of the Dragonverse and now it's Quest, but it's also going to be in animated form now too. So I am like striking this iron when it is colder than the Arctic, which is exactly when I like to strike things. What's even the point at this point? Because I promised Spooky I would, dang it. I'm gonna get this thing done before Christmas at the very least. Anywho, so yeah, there's gonna be some more anime stuff from Spooky in the future, unless they change their mind again. Even Spooky doesn't know, can't say 100% for sure, let's be honest here. Admit it, Spooky. Anyway, why don't we just stop the dilly-dallying and just get into the reading, okay? Okay. Summary. Welcome to the Anthology series, taking place in the Dragonverse, the world of a group of Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans shows on YouTube. Each anthology will follow one specific character's story, which is more or less going to be the case for Quest, and then it'll be like 3 persons or something like that. Either way. Anyway, inaugurates. Chapter 1, Dante. Chapter 1, inaugurates. A boy sits in his living room in front of the fireplace in his chair. No sound fills the room except for the crackling of fire and the occasional creak of the wooden chair. The young boy smiles, closing his deep brown eyes in thought. Dante slowly shook his head, ruffling around his mop of tousled brown hair, his hair falling in layered but seemingly even strands. He wore a black jacket over a yellow t-shirt, loose-fitting blue jeans, and black sneakers. I love it when, like, any book series tells me what the character looks like, and it's just like, that's nice. So anyway, they're gonna be wearing jorts, because that's how my brain works. I don't care what you're describing it as it looks like, I'm not picturing that. Anywho, he opened his eyes and smiled. Everyone has a story. You want to know mine? Well, buckle up. It all started in beautiful Italy, specifically Rome. Dante started as visions of the beautiful city filled his mind. If you call me out for doing the wrong accent, be grateful I'm doing an accent. Or curse me for doing an accent, either way. When you think of Italy, what comes to mind? He asked rhetorically. Beautiful streets, the Mediterranean climate, a culinary history that most are jealous of? I think of pasta. I don't know if that's racist, that's just... Ava, always quick to break the poetic snorting. And ruin! A silence, she announced with a smirk. Dante laughed, his tone light, but his gaze serious. That is my sister Ava. She's quite proud of our heritage. A Hungry 7 heritage. Dante said as he looked at the little girl, his little sister. The girl's wide, bright eyes, stone with energy, framed with a bob of dark brown hair that just grazed her chin. A bold and bright red scarf was wrapped around her neck, fluttering behind her like a superhero's cape. She sported a handmade white sweater in red striped sleeves, flowing slightly over a dark pleated knee-high skirt. Red laced-up boots finished off with a look of amongst a toothy grin. So anyway, she's wearing a blue dress in my headcanon. We're never gonna get done if I make a pot shot after every single sentence, so I'll move on. Damn right I am, Ava said, and her face softened with its as she glanced at Dante. I can't read. It's almost midnight. A brief flash of sadness beneath her proud gaze, but her upbringing wasn't exactly to be proud of, she continued quietly. We grew up poor in a struggling neighborhood in Rome. Mama and Papa worked hard, doing whatever they could to get by. Dante nodded, memories resurfacing. We were the definition of broke, and we had each other. Ava and I, we got good at stealing food from restaurants, so that our family wouldn't go hungry. One step ahead of the curve, one drop, da-da-da-da-da. I said Italy, not Egypt! Oh, sorry. He smiled at the memories of sneaking bread from bakeries, and Ava kept watch. Ava sighed, giving a small wry smile. I think you mean stole, and I kept watch since I was too short to reach anything. Also, it wasn't stealing, I prefer calling it donating. To a charity, with no consent. Yeah, Ava said, slowly realizing how bad her own logic was crumbling to bits like a poorly made sandcastle. Don't worry, Ava, just do what I do. I just borrowed it without asking. The end. Dante grinned, ruffling his sister's hair playfully. Semantics is semantics. Hey, Ava said, pushing his hand away, laughing despite herself. Dante chuckled. But you know what? One day, fate was kind to us. Papa got a job at LeoCorp with Declan Akaba himself. We were offered a place in the Astropia, and finally got out of Rome. Nice, Astropia. And it's from that point on, he said with a grin, that our story continues! Ava scoffed, held a hint of a smile. Continues? What do you mean? It's already happened! Dante chuckled. Shush, he whispered. The Ricoto household in the country of Astropia. Inside the warmth of family life on full display, Darius Ricoto stood in the kitchen, humming as he prepared lunch, while meanwhile Julia Ricoto relaxed on the couch with Dookie, the elder son, watching Impossible Studios on TV. The peaceful scene was interrupted as Daniel, the younger child, rushed into the room. Hey bro, come check this out, Daniel called, motioning for Dookie to follow him. My dick is a piece of it's shit. It's like yours, except not good. Coming, Danny, Dookie said, hopping off the couch and heading outside with his brother. The two boys ran to the end of the home and stopped at the edge of the yard, their eyes widening as they took in the sight of a moving truck parked by the next door house. Wow, finally someone's moving into the house next door, Dookie exclaimed. You wanna go say hi to them, big bro? Daniel said, turning to his brother with an eager grin. Oh wait, no, I know how to do Daniel's voice. What am I doing? Dookie nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, for sure. I want to go meet the neighbors. 5 hours later, Julia knocked on the door of the new neighbor's house. When the door opened, a boy with a warm smile and a mop of brown hair greeted them. Oh, hello, Julia said kindly. I'm Julia Ricoto, and these are my sons, Dookie and Daniel. We wanted to meet the new neighbors. Hey, what's your name? Dookie said, his curiosity bubbling over. The boy grinned. We're gonna call him Bob. Oh, Bocamio deal. It's Italian. I can't speak Italian. My name's Dante, he said brightly. Nice to meet you, Dante, the younger boy said. Dookie laughed. Which leaves me to be Dookie. That's D-U-K-I. Mind if I come in? Julia asked. Dante shook his head and stepped aside for them. Not at all! The Ricotos entered the cozy house, their eyes roaming over the space. The living room was muted with warm tones and worn surfaces spoke to years of quiet existence. A plain couch, frayed on the edges, stood at the centerpiece of the room. Its one rich colors now fading into a dull, nondescript brown. To the side, a large window stretched across the walls, its glass smudged and streaked with age. Beyond the glass, the greenery of the outside peeked through. A faint light filtered through the small windows above, the sink of the old utilitarian kitchen. Out in the gardens, Darius, Dookie's father, could be seen with Chiron, the father of Dante. Wow, you have a really nice house, Dookie said, his eyes lighting up. Thank you, Dante replied, clearly proud. And this is my little sister, Ava. Little by 1 year, Dante, Ava called from across the room. Dante laughed. Still counts! That's a totally thing too. I hear the thing with twins, you'd be like, we were born at the same time. No, I was 5 seconds before you, therefore I'm technically the older brother. Bullcrap! So technically older than my little brother, Dookie responded with a chuckle. Yeah, hey! Daniel protested, crossing his arms. Ava approached, offering a friendly smile. I'm Ava, nice to meet you. Dookie's gaze wandered to the table, where a small stack of cards caught his attention. Ooh, are those Duel Monsters cards? He asked with his tone filled with excitement. Yep, Dante replied. Ava and I were just getting ready to duel. Do you want to play? Or do you play? Of course we do! We love Duel Monsters, Dookie said with sheer excitement in his voice. Daniel nodded eagerly. Yeah, it's the best! Great, maybe we can duel against each other then, Dante suggested, his eyes widening. Dookie's eyes sparkled with anticipation. Sounds like a plan. I recently got this new deck. I've just been waiting to test it out. Very soon, Dante and Dookie were sitting on the floor with a low table between them, their decks neatly shuffled and ready. The duel started and soon both of them had gone through most of their duel. Both boys were focused in the air, buzzing with anticipation. Excuse me. And that ruined the moment. What I love about this is that it's like a stark contrast to the original Quest episode 1 where they're in this big arena thing, and now they're just sitting on the floor playing a casual card game. It does make it more down to earth and all that stuff. It's like the polar opposite. Anyway. Dante muttered as he surveyed his cards. His face brightened. Ah, I got it! During the standby phase, activate affected by Inferno Queen Archfiend. Inactivate. Giving me my Archfiend commander with an extra 1,000 attack points for this turn. Oh man, this boy's getting huge, Duki said, leaning forward. And I also normal summon Terror King Archfiend. Dante continued, placing another card on the table. And now the king will attack your face down! Duki grinned. Sorry, Dante, but you attacked my Sonic chick. She can't be destroyed by battle with a monster with 1,900 or more attack points. What? No! Dante groaned, slumping back slightly. He exhaled deeply, adjusting his strategy. Alright then, in that case, my Inferno Queen seems low enough, so it'll take out your bird then. Attack! Sonic Chick was destroyed, but Duki was not done. Now activate my trap card. Back to the front. This brings back Sonic Chick to the graveyard in defense mode. Ugh! Dante groaned in frustration. The duel continued with an intense back and forth. Later on the duel, Dante was happening. Later, another duel with Dante was happening. Daniel placed a card on the field with a defense mode monster. Okay, give her the lightning. Attack your Dark Bishop Archfiend. He declared confidently. Dante's lips curled into a smirk as he tapped his own card. Are you sure about attacking, though? Daniel blinked, his confidence faltering. Say what now? I send my Dark Bishop Archfiend from the field and Violet Fiend Archfiend in my hand to the graveyard, Dante declared, his voice steady and calculated. To special summon Darkness Neosphere! A towering figure appeared upon of Dante's field in Daniel's imagination, its dark presence illuminating over the battlefield. 4,000 attack points? Daniel exclaimed, his jaw dropping. His confidence from early evaporated completely. I can't beat that. My turn's over. In another part of the house, Ava squared off against Duki. The table between them was cluttered with cards as they prepared their next moves. Duki was clearly proud of the lineup he'd managed to assemble, and it showed with his wide grin. Pretty sweet board of monsters you've assembled there, Ava remarked, her voice laced with mock and admiration as she wore a grin akin to that of gremlins. Thanks, Duki replied, puffing on his chest slightly. Ava's eyes gleamed with determination. Now I sacrifice my Trojan horse to summon the one, the only, Terry! Duki's raised an eyebrow. What's a Terry? Oh my gosh! His eyes widened in alarm as the card in question was Ultimate Tyranno, aka Terry, Ava's signature card. And now, Ava continued, her voice with a triumphant edge as she glanced between her hand and her field, which consisted of Terry and the field spell Jurassic World. I used my equipped spell Big Bang Shot. Now, not only does Terry have 3,700 attack points, but he can attack all of your monsters and inflict piercing damage. Duki's confident grin faltered. Uh-oh. He muttered, his voice trembling slightly. Ava slammed a hand on the table. Go get him, Terry! Duki let out a scared yell as Terry obliterated his carefully assembled board. Later, Daniel's duel against Ava had taken a different turn. He surveyed the field with a growing sense of confidence as he placed a powerful card onto the table. I summon Guilford the Legend, he declared, and by using its effect, I equip 5 equipped spells from my graveyard to my 7 Swords Warrior, so you take 800 points of damage. Rats, Ava declared, her frustration bubbling to the surface. Daniel wasn't finished. Then by sending my Phoenix Gearbrain to the graveyard, your Black Tyranno was destroyed, he added with a smug grin. No, you son of a... Ava began her anger rising, but a voice cut her off from the table. Ava, sweetie! Sophia called, the voice gentle but warning. Ava gritted her teeth, letting a reluctant sigh before muttering under her breath, Female dog. Now, Daniel shouted, pointing dramatically, attack! As the sun dipped low into the sky, the 4 kids burst into laughter, the tension of their duel is melting away as they spread across the floor surrounded by cards. You should come here more often, Dante said, grinning wildly. Oh, absolutely, Duki replied with equal enthusiasm. Before they continued, a soft knock on the door came. Ava scrambled to her feet, brushing off her clothes. I got it, she called as she hurried to open the door. Sitting on the other side was a girl about her age, her shy demeanor instant apparent. The girl and on a round. The girl had on round glasses, a red sweater, and a black skirt, that reached her knees. Her dark red eyes contrasted her long and silken black hair that flowed like waves of her back. "Is Dookie here?" the girl asked, her voice barely above her whisper. Ava tilted her head. "Are ya a friend of his?" The girl nodded. Ava smiled warmly and stepped aside. "Come in, Dookie, someone wants to meet you." Someone wants ya. Huh? Dookie looked up from the table, his curiosity piqued. As the girl stepped inside, Dante's eyes locked onto her. For a moment, the room seemed to stand still, and as they stared at each other, a faint blush crept upon their faces. For Dante, it was like a princess came out of his mom's fairy tales walked into the room. And for the girl, it was like the knight in shining armor from those very same fairy tales was right in that room. Evie? Dookie called, snapping the girl's face out of her trance. Huh? Eva stammered, her cheeks glowing redder. "I was meant to help you with your homework, right?" Dookie asked, standing up. Yeah, Eva replied, glancing nervously at Dante. "Alright, sorry, well, we gotta go," Dookie said, motioning for Eva and Daniel to follow him. "No worries," Eva said with a grin. "We'll see each other tomorrow." Yeah, Dante added, his voice slightly higher than usual. He quickly cleared his throat as Eva cast one last glance at him over her shoulder before following Dookie and Daniel out of the room. I can't speak. Sophia watched the door close behind the departing trio, a soft smile on her face. "It's so nice to see you two already making friends," she said, glancing at Dante and Ava. Dante smiled, his grin wide and genuine. "I love this place." "So do I," Ava chimed in, her enthusiasm matching her brother's. Carone entered the garden, brushing dirt off his hands. Or Chiron entered whatever. He caught the tail end of the conversation and smiled. That's great to hear. From the sound of things, Dookie and Daniel and I were pretty close to each other as well. Sweet! Dante exclaimed, leaning back against the couch. As the evening wore on, the family gathered for dinner. Laughter and chatter filled the air, a stark contrast struggling in days that they'd left behind in Rome. It was absolutely perfect. Until one day. The year was now 2013, and Chiron was walking home after a long day. His phone buzzed in his pocket as he answered it swiftly. Chiron Silver speaking. Before I get to dinner, I just want to say that was a very wholesome moment with them and the family all getting to know each other and that love at first sight bit. That was all great with them and having those little interactions. Okay, now back to the plot. Because I cut off the worst possible point. Anyway, Chiron Silver speaking. A deep, almost gravelly and familiar voice greeted him. Good evening, Mr. Silver. Ah, Mr. Akaba, Chiron replied, standing a little straighter. How can I help you today? Declan Akaba's tone was measured and as calm as always. I was like an evil bad guy or something. It's like Declan Akaba. Whoops. As you are aware, the Leo Corporation is expanding day by day, and as such, I can no longer focus on dueling. I will be retiring from the game of Duel Monsters. That's a surprise, although, to be fair, Declan had 10 duels in all of Arc 5? I'm not surprised. Ugh. That's a shame to hear, Mr. Akaba, Chiron said, his voice glazed with genuine regret. Indeed. However, there is something I need from you. I am entrusting Zero King Raids and Super Doom Kings to a Duel Guardian, shall we speak. As for my other cards, I am entrusting them to you. Nice, just giving the GOD cards and all that stuff away. That's nice references and all that stuff. Sorry. Chiron's brow focused. Understood, sir. Your collection of cards for your deck is one of a kind after all. Though I fear with my very low amount of dueling skills myself, your cards would just be collecting dust. Wait a minute, so Dante went from I got my DDD monsters to I had the deck of Declan Akaba? Are you kidding me? Now, to be fair, in Chaos Charge, Jace did that with Yuza's deck, so it's not like it's unheard of. Meh. Declan's response was firm. Then feel free to pass the cards on to someone you trust to be capable of using them. You are my second in command, so I trust you to be more than capable of such a task. But more importantly, the person you pass it on to must be someone who can pass the Duel Guardians test, so the time comes for them to claim Zero King Rage and the Super Doom Kings. Understood, Mr. Akaba, Chiron said, nodding to himself. Someone has been sent to deliver the cards in person. I can't trust the postal service in Australia to keep their pristine condition. They should be at your home within the hour. Declan continued. And to be fair, this is 2013, so this is before everyone was just freaking stealing from drones and all that jazz, but people stealing other people's mail has been around for centuries, since the invention of mail, so yeah. Anywho, understood, Chiron replied. There's just one more thing. And just one more thing. Columbo, when did you get here? Declan added, his voice drooping slightly. Yes, Chiron asked. I'll be needing you and your wife Sophia for something important. Listen closely, Declan said. As Declan began to explain, Chiron's expression darkened, his shoulders stiffened, and his face fell into a mixture of sadness and determination. You two will be essential for this working. Understood? Declan concluded. Chiron swallowed hard and nodded, even though Declan couldn't see him. Yes, Mr. Akaba. Excellent. Have a good day for the rest of you. Have a good rest of the day to you, Mr. Silver, Declan said, and the line went dead. Chiron sighed deeply, slipping his phone back into his pocket as he approached his home. Just as he reached the door, a sleek black car pulled up in front of them. A man in a sharp Men in Black-esque suit stepped out and holding a briefcase. Mr. Silver, the man said, his tone curt and professional. That's me, Chiron said. The man opened the briefcase, revealing a pristine collection of DDD cards, just like Declan had said. Everything but Go DDD, Divine Zero Kings Rage, and the Super Doom Kings were in there. Everything's there, exactly as Mr. Akaba left it, the man stated. Excellent, thank you, Chiron said, taking the briefcase for himself. He watched the man return to his car and drove off, heading inside, where Dante and Ava were finishing up another duel on the dinner table. Their laughter filled the room. Oh man, Dante said between chuckles. Terry's been with you since the start, huh? Duh, of course, Ava replied with a proud grin. My dinos will always be with me, especially Terry. Chiron watched them with a soft smile, his decision solidifying in his mind when he heard about how much Ava loved the dinosaurs of her. He approached Sophia, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. Hey honey, mind if I talk to you? Sophia looked up as she was preparing dinner, her expression curious. Oh, of course, dear. What's the problem? The two stepped outside, leaving the kids inside as they spoke in hushed tones. Sophia's expression shifted, tears welling up in her eyes, and Chiron pulling her into an embrace. They talked a while longer, Sophia nodding and wiping away the tears before they re-entered the house, their resolve clear. We're selling you, children, and the house. Dante, mind if I talk with you? Chiron asked, his tone gentle. Of course, Papa, Dante replied, setting his cards down and following his father onto the couch. He sat down beside him, his curiosity evident. What is it? I have something to give you, Chiron began, placing the briefcase on the table in front of them. A gift from my boss. Take a look. Dante curiously opened the briefcase, his eyes widening in awe as he took in the sight of the DDD cards. Wow, he breathed in. What are these? Your new deck is what it is. If you accept them, of course, Chiron said with a small smile tugging his lips. Are you kidding me? These are so cool! Of course I'll use them! Dante exclaimed, his excitement palpable. Atta boy! Chiron said as he chuckled. As Dante picked up one of the cards, a faint shimmering spirit of a DDD Oracle King Diark manifested behind him. Before disappearing, Chiron watched with a faint, knowing smile. Oh! Akaba doesn't get no dual spirit, but you, Dante, you get a dual spirit too. That's just how special you are. Anyway. Oh, that reminds me, Chiron said, his tone growing serious. I shall tell you next week. You two are going to be on your own. Dante raised an eyebrow. Okay, for how long? Chiron sighed, and Sophia finished for him, stepping in. Unfortunately, it'll be for the next couple years, she said softly, her voice trembling like she was trying to stop herself from crying in front of her kids. What? Dante froze. Ava's hair scraped loudly against the floor as she shot to her feet, her eyes widened with shock and fury. Huh? Why? She demanded, her voice trembling with anger. Chiron sighed, his expression a mixture of regret and determination. Your mother and I are needed at LeoCorp's head branch in Japan. As such, we'll move there for a couple of years. That's... Dante muttered, slumping back into the couch as she processed the news. Sophia stepped forward, her voice soothing. Don't worry, dears. We know that you two are strong and will make it. You won't be without. We'll send all the money you need, okay? Ava's fists clenched at her side, her gaze fixed on the floor. All right, Mommy, she muttered, her voice cracking. She'd reached up to adjust her scarf, a nervous habit that had become her second nature to her. Yeah, that's fine. Sophia took a tentative step towards her daughter. Ava, sweetie. Leave me alone! Ava shouted, tears streaming down her face as she turned and bulged up the stairs, her feet pounding loudly with each step. Ava! Chiron called out, his voice heavy with concern. Dante stood, his expression resolute. I'll go after her, Dad. I need some space, too. He ascended the stairs slowly, pausing outside Ava's door. Inside, he could hear a muffled sound of sobs. After a moment's hesitation, he knocked softly. Ava? He called gently. There was no response. He pushed the door open. Ava was laying on her bed, clutching her scarf tightly in her hands, tears streaking down her face as she stared down at the fabric, her body trembling. Dante stepped inside, his movements careful, and knelt beside the bed. Ava, he said softly. She sniffled, but didn't look at him. I'm just so weak, Dante, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I can't do anything without help. How are we supposed to make it like this? I'm useless. Dante's heart ached at his sister by his side like this. No, Ava, you're not useless. You're not weak either, he said firmly. Ava shook her head, her voice and the grip on her scarf tightening. I always need help. I always need help, she said, her voice trembling. You've always been the strong one. I can't even help with stealing food for us when we were starving. I can't keep doing it together without them. How am I supposed to do? What kind of parent just leaves their children alone in an empty house? Well, again, chaos charge. I'm starting to think this is just one giant chaos charge ripoff. Then again, look at the first thing Spiggy ripped off. Again, we're all ripping off at the end of the day, to be fair. This is all just one giant everyone's just a giant Kazuki Takahashi ripoff at the end of the day when you think about it. Anyway, where are we? Dante reached out, placing a comforting hand on her sister. I'll help provide for us, his voice steadied, despite the emotions threatening to overwhelm. I'll figure something out. I don't know how yet, but I'll do it, Ava. I promise. Ava finally looked at him, her tear-streaked face full of doubt. But what if you can't? She asked, her voice small and scared. What if we fail? We won't, Dante said with quiet determination, pulling Ava into an embrace. Because we always have each other, right? Like when we had to steal food or borrow without consent. Steal food or borrow without consent. A small, wavery smile broke across Ava's sadness. Borrow without consent, she repeated, her voice soft but tinged with amusement. Dante grinned. We made it through that, and we'll make it through this too. We'll figure things out. Together. Ava hesitated for a moment before nodding. Together, yeah, she said, her voice gaining a bit of strength. She wiped away tears, her breath finally evening out. Thank you, Dante. The two sat in silence for a while, the bond between them ever stronger. The next week, Dante and Ava stood with their parents at the bustling airport. The noise of announcements and chatter filled the air, but all Dante could focus on was the weight of the moment. Sophia hugged Ava tightly, her face full of maternal worry and love. Remember, we're just a call away, sweetie. You two will be fine, Sophia said, her voice gentle but firm. We'll call you as soon as we land, and let you know we made it, okay? Ava nodded, holding back tears as best she could. Dante, meanwhile, embraced Chiron, who clapped a reassuring hand on his son's shoulder. Stay strong, Dante. Look after your sister, Chiron said. I will, Papa, Dante promised as he tried to maintain his composure. Sophia kissed Ava's forehead, and Chiron gave Dante one last pat on the back. With a final wave, the parents turned and headed towards security, disappearing into the crowd. Dante and Ava stood side by side, watching until their parents were out of sight. Neither spoke, but their shared presence was said more than words ever could. A year passed since their parents left. Dante and Ava walked side by side down the street, heading towards Roseville Duel Academy. The sun shone brightly, and the air was filled with sounds of bustling life. Remember when you thought you could cook breakfast every morning for us? Ava teased, a playful smile tugging at her lips as she looked at her brother rather smugly. Dante chuckled over the back of his neck sheepishly. Hey, I've improved. Eventually. That first one was just practice. Burning toast every day isn't practice, Dante. It's a fucking hazard to our health, Ava retorted, her smirk widening into a grin. They both laughed, the sound light and carefree. Ava adjusted her scarf as they continued walking. But look at us now. We've got it down. We're surviving. You're even waking up early with me without dragging your feet out of bed, Dante pointed out. Yeah, well, I don't have much of a choice, did I? Ava replied, her voice softening. She glanced at the sky, her expression thoughtful. It feels weird, though, like we've grown so much. Sometimes I can't believe it's been a whole year since that has passed. Sometimes I can't believe a whole year has passed. Dante looked at her, hearing the slight melancholy in her voice. Yeah, I know what you mean. Feels like just yesterday we were at the airport watching them leave. Ava's gaze dropped towards the ground. I miss them sometimes, she admitted quietly. Me too, Dante said, his voice equally soft. But hey, we've got each other more We've done more than just survive, Ava. We've handled things. You've handled a lot of things. Ava looked at him, her eyes searching his face. You think they'd be proud? Ava asked with big puppy eyes. I know they would, Dante said without hesitation. Before Ava could respond, a familiar voice caught up behind him. Hey, what's up? They turned around to see Dookie run towards them, suddenly out of breath but grinning as always. Thought I was gonna have to chase you guys all the way to school, Dookie exclaimed, falling into step beside them. Ava laughed. Maybe we could just go slower. Maybe you've gone slower. Me? Slower? Come on, what do you take me for? Dookie retorted, finding offense. The three of them laughed as they walked towards the school together. Eventually the group approached the school gates. The bustling energy of students filled the air. Dante glanced at Dookie, who was beaming with excitement. Feels weird going back to school after everything, huh? Dookie asked, looking between his friends. Yeah, kind of, Dante admitted. But it's kind of a good feeling, I think. But it's a good kind of weird, I think. It's just that, going back to business as usual after everything. I'm just glad we're all together again, Dookie said, his voice carrying a hint of sentimentality. I know, right? Ava agreed, a rare softness in her voice. Dookie's grin returned in full force. First chance I get, we're dueling. No excuses. You're on, Dante replied with a confident grin. You know? Ava asked, nudging Dookie with her elbow. It's nice to see something normal again. After everything we've gone through, this feels good. Yeah, normal's good, Dookie's replied with a nod. But don't get too comfortable. We never know what's lurking around the corner. Dante laughed. You say that like someone's planning something. You say that like you're the one planning something. I'm not, Dookie claimed defensively, his face scrunching in mock offense. The group entered the school building, weaving through the crowd of students. As they walked, Dante's gaze lingered on someone ahead of them. Eve. She walked a few steps in front of them, but slowed her pace when she noticed Dante. She hesitated before falling in step next to him, her cheeks tightened pink. Her cheeks tinged pink. Dante turned red as well. His usual confidence faltered in her presence. Meanwhile, Dookie broke the silence, his excitement bubbling over. I can't believe Miss Bulba is letting us duel on the first day. I've been waiting all summer for this. Yeah, Dante said, his voice trailing off as he glanced at Eve. I mean, same here. I just upgraded my deck with some new cards. You better be ready. Ava rolled her eyes, clearly amused. You two are acting like you've been deprived of dueling for months. You haven't even had one break since. You didn't even have one break during summer. Admit it, she said, looking at them both with a poignant look. Eve glanced at Dante, a shy smile playing on his lips. I'm sure Dante practiced a lot, right, Dante? She said it softly, her voice is still as pink as a peach. Yeah, her face still as pink as a peach. Read! I'm gonna get a Yu-Gi-Oh player to read my Yu-Gi-Oh story. Where's the logic, Spooky? Where's the logic? You know the meme. Dante turned an even brighter shade of red, stumbling over his words. Yeah, totally. I mean, gotta stay sharp for dueling. Dookie laughed and clapped Dante in the back. Well, with all due respect, we did duel a lot during the summer. Just that most of it wasn't for fun. Sure, started that way though. Ava suppressed a laugh, watching her brother flounder. Eve giggled quietly, her gaze flickering between Dante and the floor. Dante scratched the back of his neck awkwardly, clearly trying to regain his composure. Before the teasing could escalate, Miss Boba appeared in the classroom door, her serene presence drawing everyone's attention. The classroom was cozy, filled with the scent of tea and biscuits that Miss Boba had prepared for the students. The class was adorned with tons of knitted blankets, an assembly of pillows and plushies, and her brown striped cat lay curled up on the desk with a ray of sunshine. He stood by the tea tray, offering the refreshments with a warm and kind smile. "Good morning, everyone! Tea? Biscuits?" she asked, her voice soft and welcoming. The students eagerly helped themselves, filling the room with cheerful chatter as they settled in. Miss Boba was moved towards Dante, Dookie, Ava, and Eve, her smile widening as she greeted them. "Ah, there you are! I hope your summer was restful. You all look well." It was nice, Miss Boba. We're ready to jump right into dueling," Dante said enthusiastically. "Yeah, I've been itching to have a normal and fun duel again," Dookie added, and practically bouncing on his heels. It's always nice when they have that teacher just like, "Okay, first day, have a snack. You're off to a good start." Oh, freaking, I go back. Yeah. Focus, enthusiasm, yeah. Okay, yeah, I found my place. Sorry. I should have been less talking and more reading. Yeah, I can imagine dueling all those dueling in all those tournaments was stressful, Miss Boba said with a gentle chuckle. Dookie leaned closer towards Dante and whispered, "Wish all the stress was from the tournaments." Eve stood beside Dante, her hands clasped in front of her. She smiled at him with a soft smile, her admiration for him evident. Miss Boba, ever perceptive, caught the unknown energy between the two and smiled knowingly. "I thought you might be," Miss Boba said, her eyes twinkling. "That's why I've scheduled you two for the first duel today. The weather's lovely, so let's head outside. Sound good?" "Absolutely!" Dookie exclaimed, his excitement contagious. Though Dante shared Dookie's enthusiasm, his focus wavered as he sneaked another glance at Eve. She caught his look and blushed slightly, which only made Dante turn redder. Ava, observing the exchange, smirked at herself, clearly entertained. "Come on, Romeo," Ava teased. "You're not going to let Dookie win just because you're distracted, right?" "I'm not distracted," Dante protested, his voice cracking slightly. "Yes, you are," Dookie chimed in, grinning mischievously. And you're not much better, Dookie," Ava shot back. "Yes, I am," Dookie replied respectively. But before the bickering could escalate, Alice tapped Dookie on the back. "You're what?" she asked, her eyebrows raising curiosity. Dookie's cheeks turned red. "Nothing," he stammered. "Told you, Fedora boy," Ava quipped, her grin widening. Her voice widening, what the frig was that mean? Eve giggled softly, and Dante scratched back to his neck awkwardly, as Miss Boba gestured for the class to head outside. Once outside, the students gathered around as Dante and Dookie took their respective places at the school's courtyard, ready to duel. Miss Boba sat on the nearby bench, her teacup in hand, watching over this serene expression. Eve stood beside Ava, watching Dante with a soft, fond smile. "Today, class, Dookie and Dante..." "Alright, class, today Dookie and Dante will be dueling first. Everyone else feel free to take notes or just enjoy watching. Remember, dueling isn't about winning, it's about learning and having fun." Miss Boba spoke with a soft, reassuring smile. Dante and Dookie shuffled their decks with determination, Eve standing with Ava, crossing her arms and watching Dante with quiet admiration. He's really good, isn't he? Dante, I mean. I've seen Dookie duel a lot, but Dante, not so much, Eve asked, Ava blushing a bit. "Yeah, but don't let his confidence fool you. He gets nervous when it matters, especially when certain people are watching," Ava said with a teasing wink at Eve, causing the timid girl's cheeks to turn even more red. Dante, meanwhile, tried to focus on the duel, but kept sneaking glances at Eve, making Duki grin as they prepared to draw their starting hands. You sure you're ready for this, Dante? You seem distracted, Duki teased with a sly grin. I'm fine. Let's do this! Dante answered defensively. Duki and Dante, this is going to be the death of me. Duki laughed. Alright, ready or not, here we come! Actually, I shouldn't be saying that their names are going to be the death of me, otherwise they'll change that thing entirely again, because... Don't... Just read the thing, James. Don't go into a rant. Miss Boba, meanwhile, gave the nod off, her teacup delicately balancing on her hands as she slowly fell asleep. Everybody that would prop film the thing with the grandma turns off the TV, turns it back on, was watching that. What do you say, Grandma? Turns it back on, she falls asleep again. Duelemo! Dante called out, activating his duel disc. Time to accelerate! Duki struck out back, his own duel disc activating. Duki and Dante live points 8,000. Turn 1, Duki 8,000. The crowd cheered in anticipation, the energy of the duel field crackling as both duelists prepared to face off. Duki stood firm, his duel disc glowing as he drew his opening hand. Without hesitation, he made his first move. I'll begin simple, Duki said with a confident smile. He placed 2 cards in his duel disc and the holographic projections materialized in the field. 1 monster face down and 1 spell or trap face down. No more, no less. Your turn, Dante. Dante's eyes narrowed as he analyzed the field. The audience murmured in curiosity, wondering what a good strategy could be. He's pretty confident for someone who just teased it. I wonder what he has, Kobe pondered in the crowd. And well, we've all seen Dante duel, Alice said, saying beside Kobe. All gas, no brakes. Excuse me. Turn 2, Dante's turn. Life points 8,000. He's in for a royalty when he finds out that's a Cyberjar face. I'm gonna say that right now. I never heard of a flipped version of Exodia before, but I guess I just printed it. Dante grinned as he drew his opening hand, his energy electrifying the crowd. Draw! He declared, scanning his hand and quickly formulating a plan. Let's start strong, Dante announced. I play Scale 3 DDD Dog and Scale 8 DD Savant Nicola in the pendulum scales. He slammed the cards into his duel disc. The 2 beams of light shot into the air, forming the shimmering pendulum scales with the monsters inside the scales. Duki raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Oh boy, Scale 3 and Scale 8? I can assume a pretty big pendulum summoning is upon us. Not quite, Duki countered. I activate the spell card, Sophia Chord Elegance. Duki looked puzzled. Wait a second, Sophia Chord? That's the wrong deck, Dante. Dante laughed. I'm using Sophia Chord Elegance for its 3rd effect. You see, by putting monsters in my scales into my extra deck, one with an odd scale and one with an even scale, I get to draw 2 cards. Dante quickly drew from his deck, smiling as he saw it. Thanks, computer. Smiling as he saw DD Night Howl and DD Vice Typhoon. Duki smiled. Duki smirked faintly. Get rid of the scales already for 2 extra cards? Once he's scheming, Duki pondered. Now, Dante continued. I activate the continuous spell card, Don't Contract with the Gate. This continuous spell card has a cost. I'll take 1,000 damage during each of my standby phases. But in exchange, I can add 1 DD monster from my deck to my hand once per turn. I just want to say this now, just so while it's relevant. In Duel Links, when Declan Akaba was added, he had a skill to let him skip his standby phase. And yes, obviously it was as broken as it sounds like. Hello, I'll just skip my maintenance cost in DDDs. Obviously, and yes, you could choose to activate. It's not like you can turn it on off. Like, would you like to skip this standby phase? I would actually. Would you like to skip this one? I got dark in the field. No, I'll keep the standby phase. Naturally, they nerfed the hell out of it with time, but it's still one of those things just like, introducing characters with broken skills. Nice to know some things never change. Anyway, back to the duel. The hologram was swirling paper scroll with a cross on Dante's field, glowing ominously. With Gate, I had 1 DD Proud Ogre to my hand, and now I set the pendulum scale with Scale 1 DD Griffin and Scale 8 DD Proud Ogre. The lights of the new scales pulsated. Duki smiled confidently. Here it comes, Duki said, readying himself. Now, Dante nodded as he raising his hand. Swing far, pendulum! Carve the arc of victory! Dante shouted. I pendulum summon from my hand DD Night Howl and DD Vice Typhoon for my extra deck. And for my extra deck, DD Dog and DD Savant Nicola. which proves this is MR3, just for the record. The four monsters appeared on Dante's field, their forms radiating power. Now, Dante declared, I overlay my level 6 DD Dog and Savant Nicola, guardian of the King's treasures. Savant who innovates new technology. Overlay your souls and give birth to the tyrant who is sent above to rule over the seas for all eternity. Xyz Summon! Rank 6, DDD, High Wave High King Caesar! Wave High King Caesar. A towering figure emerged from the overlay network, its regal armor glinting. From the crowd, Ian shook his head. This is not shaping up to be in Duki's favor. That Caesar is a double solemn warning on legs that can also buff Dante's other monsters. Still though, Ava observed leaning against the fence with her arms crossed. Duki seemed so calm. Duki was smirking confidently, the audience erupting into murmurs of awe. That's not all, Dante continued. I tuned my level 3 Night Owl with my level 7 Vice Typhoon. Howling maws of the devil. Tune them together with a flame-breathing serpent and give birth to the undefeated king who has ascended to be the fastest warrior alive. Synchro Summon, level 10, DDD, Gust High King Alexander! The Silver Knight sped onto the field, his wings whipping across the holographic terrain. Dante wasn't finished. Finally, I used DD Vice Typhoon's effect on the graveyard. I banished it as well as Night Howl to Fusion Summon, Howling Maw of the Devils, fused with a flame-breathing serpent to give birth to the Flaming Conqueror who has ascended to the throne on the top of the highest mountain. Fusion Summon, level 8, DDD, Flame High King Genghis! Duki let out a low whistle as all three High Kings took their place on Dante's field. Oh boy, we have a whole court out here. Oh boy, do we have a whole court out here. Wouldn't it be really freaking funny if this isn't gonna happen, but Duki smiling because out of the sheer, I am so fucked right now. You gotta laugh at some point, right? Anyway. The assembled students erupted into murmurs as Dante completed his board. Tanner yelled in awe. He's assembled his whole board! Everything's there, from Caesar to Genghis! Oh no, Zach cried. I've seen Dante win so many duels with that opening play. I think Duki's cooked you guys. This is not good. But Aiden froze, his gaze fixed on Duki. Wait, Ava's right. Not a single reaction from Duki. What does he have there? Buxa, we can never pronounce correctly, analyze the field. Genghis can negate a spell or trap Duki has. Maybe the key is that monster of his. Dante grinned. Oh, and it gets even better, Duki. First, since I control 3 DDD monsters, Alexander's attack is boosted to 6,000. Furthermore, I use Ogre's pendulum ability. By paying 500 life points, I can give a permanent boost to 500 attack points to any DD monster I control. So I choose my Genghis. Dante's life points are down to 7,500, Alexander's up to 6,000, and Genghis has 3,300 attack points. Battle! Dante roared. Caesar, attack Duki's face-down monster! Tsunami Slash! Duki raised a hand as Caesar lunged towards his face-down. Gotta commend you, Dante. Before the attack hits, you've assembled a pretty strong board. You can negate any spell or trap, and you've got a double solemn warning. But this board, at least a part of it, falls to a single card. Dante narrowed his eyes. Huh? I think I know what this is gonna be. This is set up earlier. Duki's face broke into a confident smirk. That's all gonna happen, and that card that happens to be... Drum roll, please. He flipped over his face-down monster, revealing... Raiko, Lightsworn Hunter! I was expecting Sonic Chick, not gonna lie even a little. A good friend you should be familiar with. Raiko, Lightsworn Hunter. Raiko's effect destroys Caesar. The spectral wolf leaped forward, biting onto Caesar, as the two monsters explode into a burst of light. No! Dante's jaw dropped. The crowd erupted into gasps and murmurs. You probably thought I just said something because I had no opening moves, right? Duki asked with a teasing tone. You rarely open with just T-set, Duki. I thought you bricked, Dante admitted, running a hand through his hair. Duki smirked. Exactly what I was counting on. Dante couldn't help but laugh, shaking his head. Well, I'm glad it means this duel will go on. After all, we gotta show everyone how much we've grown over the summer, Duki declared, his voice brimming with determination. He milled 3 cards on top of his deck to do Raiko's effect. Level Eater, Wake Up Centurion, oh god, no Centurions, and Centurion Emeth 4. Excuse me. He glanced at them and grinned. Oh, by the way, since you now control only 2D monsters, Alexander's attack points return to normal, and their gauntlet is back to 3,000. Dante nodded, acknowledging the shift, meaning that even if I negate your face down, I still will be 1,700 attack points short. Well, there's just one more thing. Since Caesar was destroyed, I can add a Dark Contract card from my deck to my hand. I picked Dark Contract with the Swamp King. Yuki chuckled. Oh great, some more fusion shenanigans. You got it, Yuki, Dante replied, his grin returning. Alexander, Hurricane Strike! Yuki breaks himself at the attack connected. I can take that. Gah! His life points go down to 5,000. Yuki staggered slightly, gritting his teeth. I stand corrected. Dante pointed towards Genghis. How about some more? Genghis, go! Eruption Slicer! That was terrible, I'm sorry. Yuki groaned as the fiery attack engulfed him. I'll feel that one in the morning! I'll feel this one in the morning! Life points down to 1,700. Main phase 2, I activate Dark Contract with the Swamp King. Dante continued, sliding the card into his dual disc, a gravestone emerging from the earth. The ground around it bubbling with viscous green liquid. As the King of the Swamp emerged, grasping onto the gravestone with a sinister look directed at Dookie. This one has the same total pay as Gate. However, with this contract, I can fusion summon using a fiend monster. I can fusion summon a fiend monster using monsters from my hand or field. And if I summon a DDD monster, I can banish materials from my graveyard. And I know you know just the monster to summon to prevent all damage I take from my 2 contracts. Dookie raised an eyebrow. His interest peaked. I see. The king herself is coming to the field. I hate when Konami does this. Oracle King. Diark. I didn't know kings could be women. I'm pretty sure we had a term for that already. Why not have Oracle Queen? Although it's still one of the things where it's like, Brotherhood of the Fire Fists. Here's our 2 women members. I know Brotherhood's more of a metaphor thing, but it's still like, brother has a meaning. Focusing on the duel! Damn right, Dante declared. Now I use DDD High Wave King Caesar and DD Savant Nicola from my graveyard to fusion summon. Tyrant over the seas, fused together with the savant who innovates new technology and gave birth to the sanctified warrior who liberates her people with God's authority. Fusion summon, level 7, my ace monster, DDD Oracle King Diark. A regal figure emerged onto the battlefield, her sword gleaming as she surveyed the battlefield with an air of authority. Dookie smiled. Hello Diark, been a while. Bottomless. Diark turned her piercing gaze towards Dookie. The Rikoto child. It's been an honor to have your blood touch my blade. It'll be an honor to have your blood touch my blade, she said with an eager, almost bloodthirsty grin. So okay, apparently they've had the bond in between them. Like, I mean, we didn't see Diark with the spirit thing behind Dante, so I guess that means they're a bit more well known now. It has been years. Well, a year. Time passed. Dookie laughed nervously. I must apologize. I don't think you'll get the chance. Diark smirked, clearly amused. We shall see. Actually, we won't. Solemn judgment. Could you imagine? From the audience, Nick frowned, scratching his head. Wait a second. So that's a lady. Why is she a king? They said what I'm saying. I just had this other one. Dante and Dookie both stiffened. They murmured in unison. Diark's expression darkened as she turns her photo engine towards Nick. I'll have you know that King is a highly respected title from in the different dimensions military. I worked hard to earn this title. If you dare imply that... Diark, calm yourself. Dante interrupted quickly, holding up his hand. He doesn't know. Or he can see you. Or can he see you, for that matter? Nick threw his hands up in confusion. What the hell are they talking about? Aang shrugged. Dual spirit stuff. Dante sighed, placing another card on his duel disc. I'm placing one card face down, and ending my turn. Your move. Okay, so in the different dimension, King is a title. Okay, I believe that one. I can roll with that one. That one makes... I mean, I am going at this by the standard, just like how we work in the real world, when this is when the Yu-Gi-Oh dimension is its own entire thing, but it's still one of those where it's like, but that's not what that means. Hey, at least I gave an explanation for it. That's more than Konami did. Why is she called King? Fuck you, that's why. Because we said so.
It's like the reason why Proton Generator Unit even works with Cyber Dragons. There is no card in this game called Cyber Dragons, but it works with 2 Cyber Dragon monsters because Konami said so. And that's why it works. This game is stupid. Anyway, it's Duki's turn. He wiped his forehead with the back of his hand, the pressure of Dante's explosive field weighing heavily. He drew the next card with a confident flourish. His expression sharp and calculated. "Draw!" Duki said confidently, drawing Synchro Overtake. His eyes lit up as he surveyed his options. Alright, to start, I use Synchro Overtake. With this, I reveal a Synchro monster in my extra deck that has specific materials listed on it. Then I get to place that material from my deck to either my hand or special summon it. I reveal to you Junk Warrior, and since he mentions Junk Synchron, I get to add him from my deck to my hand. In spirit form, Junk Synchron raised an arm excitedly. "Oh boy, it's time I get to do some synchro actions!" I love the idea of Junk Synchron just being a little schoolboy like, "Synchro summon, synchro summon, synchro summon, synchro summon! Summon it, summon it, summon it, summon it, summon it, summon it!" "In due time, bud," Duki said, chuckling. "First, by discarding my Quillbone Hedgehog, I can special summon my trusty Quick Draw Synchron." A hologram of Quick Draw Synchron materialized on Duki's field, its arms shifting into position. Now, by removing a level from Quick Draw Synchron, I can special summon Level Eater from the graveyard. Duki announced. The small ladybug buzz-like monster buzzed to life, joining Quick Draw Synchron on the field. Zach leaned forward from the crowd. "Oh boy, now Duki can repeatedly summon Level Eater." "Actually, he can't," Busker corrected. "What do you mean?" Zach asked, looking confusion. "Level Eater was errated recently. Now it's a hard once per turn effect," Busker explained. I think that was explained. I think that's a thing only in this Dragonverse, but at least they're explaining it at all. It's fine. They did better than what the frickin' Duel Arena did, that's for sure. We have our own version of Psychic End Punisher. Said, well, okay, where does it say that then? Does it say that? We're saying it now. As of this moment. I mean, we accept this explanation, it just would have been nice to know, like in a description or something. Anyway, Yuki nodded towards Bosk in acknowledgement. "Right, now it's time to accelerate," his tone growing more intense as he raised his hand. "I'll use my level 4 Quick Draw Synchron to tune my level 1 Level Eater. By synchronizing the power of these 2 monsters, I create a new life, Mighty Warrior with the body of a jet fighter. Take flight and unleash the power through hyper speed. Synchro Summon, level 5, Jet Warrior!" The holographic Jet Warrior hybrid shot on the field, its engines roaring. "Now, with Jet Warrior's effect, your DDD Flame King Genghis is sent back into the extra deck," Duki declared. "Sonic Boom!" Why that one? Like, I know it can bring back monsters, but still, like, Alexander now has 6,000 attack points because there's 3 DDs, and Dark's gonna keep healing Dante. I'm sure there's a method to his madness, I'm just questioning the method at the moment. Oh, I guess I'll have to watch and find out. Dante grimaced as the holographic jet slammed a forearm into Genghis. "Come here!" Forcing it off the field. "Oh no!" Duki grinned, his momentum building. "Now I summon Junk Synchron. He uses effect to revive Quillbone Hedgehog from my graveyard for some defense. After all, my life points are pretty low." The familiar hedgehog with bolts of quills bopped on the field. "Now I use my level 3 Junk Synchron to give my level 5 Jet Warrior a tune-up. By synchronizing the power of these 2 monsters, I create a new life. Now watch as Sharp Steel and Sharps of Ironclad Alloy are forged together to create a new powerful force. Synchro Summon, level 8, Chunk Destroyer!" The new monster emerged with a deafening metallic battle cry, its towering form crackling with power. And now for Junk Destroyer's effect. Say goodbye to DDD Oracle King Diark! I see, because he didn't want it spun, he wanted that thing dead. Although, maybe the other order would have been better, just because of the sheer fact that I can use the material either way. I don't know, what if, my thought is like, what if Dante draws Monster Reborn? Anyway. Then again, if it's dead, then if it had just gone to the extra deck, he could have just summoned it again with Dark Contract with the Swamp, so maybe this plan is actually better. Yeah, from that logic, Dante could just fusion summon it back and you're right back where you started. You could summon the Genghis right back, but the Genghis isn't much of a problem as the Diark. Mind you, again, if he draws Monster Reborn, all this is mute. But anyway, I'm getting back to the episode now. Diark's expression twitched in disbelief. "What? No!" Diark yelled out before Junk Destroyer fired in blast of energy. Dante reached out for his ace monster as his ace monster was obliterated. "Diark!" "Told you she wouldn't get the chance. My monsters are not strong enough to beat Alexander quite yet, though," Duki said confidently. "So, in that case, I end my turn." Dante's turn. Life point 7,500. Dante clenched his fist as he drew his card. draw, and during my standby phase, your contracts are going to deal you damage without D'Arc around. Duki interjected with a sly grin. Dante winced as the energy of the contracts pulsed around him. Down to 5,500 life points, Dante straightened up, determination flashing in his eyes. I used Gate's effect to add DD Savant Copernicus to my hand. Now I summon Copernicus, and use this effect to send Necroslime from my deck to my graveyard. In addition, since a DD monster was summoned, I get to use Alexander's effect, Reviving Gale! Welcome back, D'Arc! Oh yeah, I forgot Genghis and Alexander both had that effect. I forgot about Genghis' additional effect, because one becomes a freaking powerhouse and I forget what the other one does. Doogie smirked. It's almost like she never left. D'Arc's expression turned to one of frustration. No thanks to you, Rikoto! I'll pay for that same charity to you tenfold. Dante's grin widened. And now you get to see a brand new addition to my deck, Dookie. Ah, throwing something new into the mix, Dookie asked, his excitement evident. Alright, bring it on! I sacrificed Savant Copernicus to special summon from my hand, Pharaonic Advent! Dante declared. Dookie's eyes widened as a massive ornate monster materialized on the field. Oh no, what is this thing? From the audience, Ain't shouted, one thing's for sure, it's fucking big! Now I activate my continuous spell card, Pendant of Revolution, Dante continued, his card shimmering into place on the field. Dookie chuckled. That's funny. Your card counters specifically synchro decks, but I also know that it turns all your synchro monsters into catasters and lets you search your favorite trap whenever your monsters are destroyed. What I wouldn't give for a defense draw searcher. That's not all, Dante announced. Pharaonic Advent's ability activates. Since Pharaonic Advent's attack rose as its ability activated. Its attack points went from 2,000 to 2,300. Duke attacked his duelist to review the card. Wait, how did... Ah, that explains it, he said, nodding. Might explain to the rest of us, Fedora Man? Nick called out. Dookie shot him a look. Sure thing, Barnacle Boy. Advent gains 200 attack points for every continuous trap card on the field and in the graveyards. Ah, I see. You did always love continuous trap cards, Dante. We have your eye at home. Dante laughed. Guilty as charged. Now for Pharaonic Advent, take out Quillbolt Hedgehog. Glorious sunshine. Pharaonic Advent raised its arms and sent a miniature sun crashing down at the small rodents. Dookie winced as the attack landed. Sorry, little guy. Now Alexander attacks Junk Destroyer, Dante declared. And like you said, because of Pendant of Revolution, whenever a synchro monster battles, your monster is automatically destroyed. Viva la Revolution! Dojevala? Dookie cursed and his Junk Destroyer exploded into shards of light. Now I could have gone 200 more damage in with Alexander, Dante continued, but D'Arc seems eager to give you a go. So go, Imperial Onslaught! D'Arc grinned, raising her rapier. Haha, with pleasure. She flapped her wings and rocketed forward. Dookie flipped over his trap card, and she still won't do a thing to me. Reveal Defense Draw! You begged so much for a Defense Draw searcher. Man was playing boss and was already right here. Why I wouldn't get to search a Mirror Force right now. Oh wait, I don't need to. I think we both know what this does. No damage and I draw a card. Dante groaned. And you were just talking about searching for it. The trap is glued to your hand! Dookie shrugged, smirking. Doesn't sound like a problem to me. He drew his card. Alright, now for Advent's other ability, Dante said. By sacrificing Alexander, I get to add my continuous trap from my deck to my hand. I pick Spirit Barrier, then I'll place one card face down. Could be literally anything, I don't know. And end my turn. Dookie tilted his head playfully. Yep, literally anything. Draw. To be fair, Dookie just played that card on him. He gets to play it back at the very least. Over at the bench near the duel, Miss Boba was sleeping, making snoring sounds. Eve looked over at Ava and whispered to herself, Miss Boba's fallen asleep again, hasn't she? Eve asked. Yeah, no one's leaving. Yeah, but no one's leaving. Everyone's too into the duel, Ava whispered back, so electrified by the duel. Eve watched Dante with admiration, Dante sensing her eyes on him, smirked confidently, and locked eyes with Dookie, ready for the next move. Excuse me. Miss Boba stirred awake, waking up with a soft yawn. It seems I missed some of the action. How is the duel going? Miss Boba murmured. Eva quickly filled her in, and Miss Boba smiled, content to let her students enjoy themselves. Good, good. Carry on, Mr. Lobus said. Then dozed off again as the dual spirits and Baguska appeared next to her, also sleeping. I'm glad it's the pillow one and not the alcohol one. People would be like, why can't we have alcoholic cards? I like the pillow one better. There are worse censors in Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's be real. A stoner run. Forget that. This is gonna go into a rant. Huh, her Baguska is putting in a lot more work than usual and making her sleepy. Must have had a long night preparing for the school year or something. Well, let's see what they have in store, Duki thought. He scanned his hand and grinned. Let's see what I have in store. His life points were 1700 still with the 5th turn. It's time I start by playing with my new toys. Start with my graveyard effect of Wake Up Centurion I milled with Reiko earlier. Now by banishing it, I can send a Centurion Phalanx to the graveyard. Dante nodded with his curiosity piqued. Aw man, first time I'm seeing any of those. It's your first time, isn't it? Well then, allow me to show you their full power, Duki said, his voice booming with confidence. Dante laughed. Haha, bring it on! Alice smiled softly from the audience, but thoughts drifting. It's so nice to see Duki having fun within a duel after everything that's happened this summer. I summoned Centurion Truda, and used her effect to place her in the spell and trap zone as a continuous trap, Duki continued. But she likes to bring her girlfriend along for the ride, so here comes Centurion Primera from the deck to the spell and trap zone as well. From the cards, 2 glowing projections materialized, shimmering faintly. Oh boy, time to show just what I got in store, Primera exclaimed. Kick her fucking ass! Trudeau shouted. Duki pinched the bridge of his nose. Language, Trudy! Keep it friendly, Jedtoa. Jebatoy. I am butchering these languages. With the flourish, the next chapter Spooky's reads is going to just be primarily in his native language. And I'm just going to be like, what do you want me to do? Go into Google Translate? With a flourish, Duki declared, I use Primera's effect to summon her into the monster card state, as in her monster state, which activates her ability, letting me add Stand-Up Centurion from my deck to my hand. And speaking of which, I'll activate it. He quickly discarded Volcanic Shell, sending into the graveyard as part of the cost. By discarding a card, I get to place Centurion Gargoyle 2 from my deck to my spell and trap zone, as a continuous trap. And then the card I discard just so happens to be Volcanic Shell, which means by paying 500 life points, I can add another Volcanic Shell from my deck to my hand, down to 1200 life points. Now you see, Primera is a tuner, which means that she also, while she's around, Kubot Hedgehog can come back from my graveyard. The small woodland creature reappeared on the Duki's field with a single cheerful wiggle. And now, Duki declared, I special summon Centurion Gargoyle 2 from my spell and trap zone using her effect. Then with Stand-Up Centurion's effect, I'll synchro summon right here, right now. Duki raised his arm dramatically as the audience leaned in. I tune level 8 Centurion Gargoyle 2 with a level 4 Centurion Primera. Dante's eye is widening as he took a step back. Oh no, not good! Ava crossed her arms, her eyes, her brow furrowing. With all that together, that makes level 12! Aiden nodded, watching intently. I can't see well, it can't be Cypher. The materials aren't correct. Duki grinned and widened as he declared, by synchronizing the power of these 2 monsters, I'll create a new life. Centuries and eons. Oh, so that's where the Centurion comes from. Century and eon. Huh. Anyway, centuries and eons combine together and make for a new legend. May her radiance burn away those who train true peace. Synchro summon, level 12, Centurion Legata. The monster descended onto Duki's field with a wings shimmering with pink lightning. Wait, pink lightning? Wrong universe! Wrong universe! Dante's jaw dropped. That's a huge bitch! No! That's one. Wow, that's a huge one. Duki nodded in excitement with his voice unmistakable. Now several effects happen. Oh, of course they do. First, since Gargoyle was used as secret material, she returns from my graveyard to my hand. Then Legata's effect activates, letting me draw 1 card, then destroy the monster in the field with the highest attack points. Your Diarc is history. Diarc cried in frustration. Not again! She was cut off by a giant pink explosion. Dante shielded his face as the destruction swept across the field. Ugh! Duki drew his card and smirked as Dante steadied himself, trying to regroup. Since the monster was destroyed, Penance of Revolution allows me to add Liberty at Last from my deck to my hand, Duki said, searching his deck. Duki smirked. While you do that, I'll use Magic Planter I just drew, letting me send Trudeau to the graveyard, where Trudeau belongs, to draw 2 cards. He quickly drew his 2 cards. Lucky me, Duki continued. I activate part of the I activate the pot of avarice I just drew. I return Junk Destroyer, Jet Warrior, Junk Synchron, Raikou, and Volcanic Shell back to my deck, then draw 2 cards. He drew 2 yet again. Now, by discarding Volcanic Shell, I can special summon Quick Draw Synchron. Juki nods. And then I use Embla Oath, and by placing Primera in this for my deck in the Spell and Trap zone. To place Primera in the Spell and Trap zone. Next, I take a level off Legata to special summon Level Eater out from the graveyard. And with this card, and with the spell card Advanced Draw, I send Legata to the graveyard to draw 2 more cards. Dante raised an eyebrow. So much draw power. Are you sure you shouldn't be running Exodia in that list? Duki laughed. I know what you mean. Actually, now that I mention it. He drew 2 cards yet again. Duki was grinning as his hand was full of options. Now I use Phalanx's effect with my graveyard, Duki declared. By banishing it, I can special summon Legata, and I summon her in defense mode. The cost of Phalanx makes her lose 1500 attack points after all. And now to Level Eater, Quickbolt Hedgehog, and Quick Draw Synchron to Synchro Summon, Level 8. Welcome back, Junk Destroyer! Dante's eyes filled as a massive Synchro monster reappeared. Oh no, and since he was summoned using 2 non-tutors, Duki... He interrupted, pointing onto Dante's field. He could pop 2 cards in your field. Your Pen of Revolution and Dark Contract with the Swamp King are gone. Dante gritted his teeth as his field was wiped. Now Junk Destroyer, attack Veronic Advent. Fists of Ferocity, Duki declared. Dante quickly revealed his continuous trap. Reveal Trap, Spirit Barrier. I take no damage from any battles that involve monsters. Fair enough, but your monsters are still destroyed, Duki replied, watching as Pharaonic Advent was obliterated. I end my turn, and during the end phase, Legata will let me place a Centurion monster from my grave to my Spell and Trap zone. I pick Emeth 6. And now on to turn 6. Turn 6, Dante's turn, with 5,500 life points left. Dante drew his card, which resolved etched in his face. Draw! From the crowd, Tanner calls out, and here comes the contract damage. Dante winced and yelled out in pain as the contract activated again. Ugh! Now he's down to 4,500. But speaking of my contract, Dante continued, I'll use to add Savant Kepler to my hand. Duki smiled. Not so fast, Dante. I use Emmet Ford's and Primarina's effect to summon themselves. And let's not forget, Primera lets me add a Centurion card from my deck to my hand, like True Awakening. The glowing forms of Emmet Ford and Primera appeared on Duki's field, their energies cackling as they were synchronizing their power with each other. Duki grinned. Time for the highlights. Stand up, Centurion will let me synchro summon. Quick synchro! Dante's eyes widened. Oh no! Duki raised his hand as the red lights of his monsters began to synchronize. I tuned level 8 Emmet level 4 with level 4 Primarina. A red beam shot to the ground as the crowd collectively held their breath. What the flip? Zach said. Ian's eyes narrowed. Get ready, guys. Things are about to get serious. As his smiling faintly whispered, you have no idea how serious. Duki's voice rang out with a conviction. By synchronizing the power of these 2 monsters, I create a new life. Crimson Beast, who inherited the gods, will bless us with your presence and create your successor from the true destiny. Rise, unleash your might. Level 12. Crimson Dragon! Dante stumbled, his voice shaking. Crimson Dragon? The Crimson Dragon? Yes, Duki replied, his grin widening. But he won't be around for long, cause I'll use the effect. He allows me to target any other synchro card on the field, then he'll return himself to the extra deck, and summon any dragon synchro monster from my extra deck with that level. Oh, and it's counted as a synchro summon, and ignores summoning conditions. Dante's eyes widened, his eyes scanned the field. Level 8? And level 12? Yep! And you bet, and I'm targeting Lagita. Crimson Dragon, return! Duki declared. The ground began to tremble as a blinding light illuminated the field. Duki's voice rose, commanding the moment. Divine Star of Hope, shining in the depths of space. Descend from the stars above and shine upon this darkened place. Unleash the force lost of time, and let us punish any sin or crime. Shine bright and take flight. Make all the pain despair, or be burned away by your divine light. Appear in this shadow game as I call your name. Synchro Summon, level 12. Start a Cypher Divine Dragon! It makes sense, Divine Dragon, given the friggin' rhyming thing like raw. The massive dragon descended, its form radiating power and serenity. From the audience, Ava simply said, Oh. Boxa injected adjusted his visor, making sure he was seeing things right. Nick leaned forward. Fucking... Zack gasped. God! Dante shook his head, trying to say himself. I summoned DD Savant Kepler and used its effect. Unfortunately for you, you won't get to use that, Dookie interrupted. I activate Cyber's effect, Divine Star Retribution, letting me negate your monster effect, and then on the other side of the effect, Divine Star Replenishment. Destroy one card on the field. Say goodbye or dark contract with the gate. No! Dante cried out as his field took another hit. I'll pendulum summon Savant Copernicus from my extra deck, and by using his effect I can send Lamia from my deck to the graveyard. Now I use the effect of DD Necroslime in my graveyard. I banish it and DD Dog to fusion summon Slime that binds the dead. Fuse together with the Guardian of the King's Treasure. Fusion summon level 8. Welcome back. DDD Flame King High Genghis. Yes, welcome back, Dookie said with a smirk. But I don't think it's going to be helping you much right now. Dante laughed despite the tension. For a moment of you being smug, huh? Dookie shrugged. What can I say? I'm feeling pretty good about this position. I'm allowed to be a little smug. Fair point, Dante admitted. I'll use Lami's effect from the graveyard. I send Kepler to the graveyard to summon her, which activates Genghis' effect. Burning Revival, return! Gus King Alexander. Now for Proud Ogre's effect, I offer 500 life points to boost Alexander by 500. Dante's down to 4,000 life points and Alexander have 3,500. Now Alexander, attack Junk Destroyer! Hurricane Strike! Dante roared. Dookie revealed his trap. Reveal trap card. Following. I'll equip it with my Junk Destroyer immediately. Dante countered, however. It'll be equipping nothing. Genghis will follow with your follow wind. Will negate your follow wind. Volcanic Burnout! Okay, so that's a negation effect, so that's the thing from earlier. Okay, that's established. I knew that wouldn't work, Dookie said calmly. That's why I have this. Reveal Wall Disruption! Now all your attack position monsters lose a combined 3,200 attack points, 800 per monster you control. No! Genghis goes down to 0 attack points and Alexander only has 300. Counterattack, Junk Destroyer! Dookie commanded. Dante winced as his monster was obliterated. Ah! I still take no damage thanks to Spirit Barrier. I set one card face down, and then my turn. I'll deal with that eventually, Dookie said with a shrug. And during the end phase, Legatus effect activates. Welcome back, Primera. It's Dookie's turn. He has 1,200 life points left. Dookie drew his card, his confidence unwavering. Draw, and I'll begin with Tuning. This lets me a quick draw synchron from my deck to my hand. He then sent the top card of his deck to the graveyard, Mirror Force, as part of the effect. I guess we went to Hungary for this duel. Of course I end up milling you, you cursed straw. Of course you end up milled, you cursed straw. That would be Magic Cylinder. Dookie muttered under his breath, shaking his head. Anyway, I discard Centurion Gargoyle 2 to special summon Quick Draw Synchron once again. You know, I think about it, given how Mirror Force always gets negated or destroyed or milled or something like that, I'm surprised no one runs Mirror Force Launcher. Although to be fair to the Hungarian, to the movie series, Mirror Force Launcher wasn't invented at the time yet, so Mirror Force was okay, it wasn't the only Mirror Force card, but it was the only one that people we were playing, so yeah. Imagine back in those days, the meme might not have taken off. Anywho, Dante crossed his arms. I swear I've seen this guy more than Junk Synchron. Hey, what can I say? He happens to be a little bit more convenient, Dookie said with a shrug. Hey! Junk Synchron protested. Sounds a bit offensive, partner, Quick Draw Synchron replied, tipping his hat. Dookie chuckled awkwardly. Sorry about that. Now I take my level 5 Quick Draw Synchron with Level Eater. And then I take a level off Quick Draw Synchron to summon Level Eater. Then I tune Quick Draw Synchron with Level Eater to Synchro summon, once again, Level 5 Jet Warrior. A sleek jet-like warrior returned to the field, its engines roaring to life. Time for the Genghis to be dethroned by it for a second time. By the same monster, no less. Jet Warrior, return Genghis to the extra deck. Sonic Boom! Dante gritted his teeth as Genghis vanished. Damn it! Dookie gestured to his other monsters. Now I switch Cypher to attack mode. Let's end this, Junk Destroyer. Attack Copernicus! Dante raised a hand. Reveal Trap. Astro Barrier. Now I can make any attack on my monster direct attack. And with Spirit Barrier up, I'll take no damage at all. Nice combo. Wonder where that came from. Dookie chuckled, his grin widening. Well, I'll be damned. That's a pretty good combo. I'll set my last card face down, and end my turn. And during the end phase,
Legata will place M4 back in the spell and trap zone. This could be the last turn, Dante. Make it count. Turn 8, Dante's down to 4,000 life points. I could have sworn I took more damage than that. Meh. Dante took a deep breath, placing a hand over his deck. This was it. No cards in hand. He drew the card he drew and would determine the outcome of the entire duel. Right. He drew his card. His focus unshakable. Draw! This helps. I activate Sophia Court Elegance, Griffin and Proud Ogre to my extra deck, and draw. I return Griffin and Proud Ogre to my extra deck, then draw 2 cards. Dookie thought to himself, it all comes down to what's on top of this deck. I always love those Destiny draw things where it's like, Heart of the Cards, guide me. I activate Pot of Greed, now guide me again. It's kind of like cues the climax in a little bit, you know? Like, it all comes down to this, and then this. Anyway, Dante placed the hand in his deck, his eyes glowing gold for a moment. A faint golden mask resembling an alchemy mark under the sun appeared on his hand. Dookie's eyes widened. The mark on his hand. Wait, that's the mark of a... He thought it before his train of thought was quickly derailed by Dante's commanding shout. Sorry, now it all comes down to what's on top of his deck, and then the friggin' deck placed the hand on the deck thing again. I don't know if I said that. Draw! Dante roared, his hand whipping through the wind whipping through the dueling field. Brr, what's with the sudden wind? Dookie muttered, pulling his jacket tighter. Dante looked at the 2 cards he'd drawn. Archfiend Eccentric and Dark Contract with a Swamp King. His grin widened. Also, I just realized the mark on the hand thing. Well, the awakening is canon to the Dragonverse. Anyway, his eyes grinned. Yes! Alright, Dookie. I start by normal summoning another monster! Another new monster. Dookie crossed his arm, his excitement visible. Bring it on! I normal summon Archfiend Eccentric! Dante announced. Dookie raised an eyebrow. Wait, isn't that just Exiled Force? Exactly, Dante replied. And she's just ready to get rid of your cipher. By tributing her, I can destroy it! Dookie's thoughts raced. I could just let this resolve since Cypher protects everything once per turn. But this is also a prime opportunity to break his barrier lock. He thought to himself before glancing up at Cypher. I activate Cypher's effect. Divine Star Retribution and negates Eccentric's effect. Then Divine Star Punishment destroys Spirit Barrier. Dante smirked. I knew you'd take advantage of the opportunity to destroy the lock I had. I wanted you to use Cypher's negate. Dookie chuckled softly. I had a feeling that was the case. Alright, what was your real plan? This! Dante shouted. I activate Dark Contract with the Swamp King. By banishing Diark and High Gust King Alexander from my graveyard, I can fusion summon one final time. The crowd buzzed with excitement, leaning in as Dante raised his hand dramatically. Oh, this is too intense, Zack yelled. Calm down, buddy, Boxer said, holding on to Zack's shoulders, getting gently to steady him. Oh, this is so good, Alex exclaimed with excitement. Go, Dante, Eva explained, the loudest she had spoken all day. Divine warrior, chosen by God, undefeated hurricane winds, fuse together and give birth to the dictator who shall rule over the 7 seas with an iron fist, eternally shrouded in darkness, arise from the dead zone, and drown all those who stand in our way. Fusion summon, level 10, DDD, Wave Oblivion King High Caesar! Sorry, it's the Japanese name. Wave Oblivion King Caesar Ragnarok, there. The massive commanding figure emerged on Dante's field, its armor shimmering ominously and shrouded by light in the dark mist. Dookie nodded, impressed. I should have known it was your ultimate monster you were going for. Jeez, and I thought you were some of Dookie's card. Jeez, and I thought some of Dookie's card names were long. Yeah, this one takes the cake and eats it too. Tanner added. Now, Dante declared, Ragnarok attacks your Legalia. And since the attack was declared, I use Ragnarok's effect. By returning 1 contract to my hand, I'll equip any monster in the field to Ragnarok, and he gains its attack points. So Cypher with its negate gone seems like the perfect target. Dookie flinched. Oh, if you get rid of Cypher and Legacy at the same time, that would put me in his terrible spot. Exactly. Go Ragnarok! Use your effect! Dookie raised his hand. Key words that here with Dante is wood. Dante's expression faltered. Wait, what? Dookie flipped his face down card. Reveal trap. Centurion True Awakening. Since your monster figure is activated, I get to send 1 Centurion monster from my spell and trap zone to the graveyard to negate the effect and destroy your monster. And they cursed under his breath, realization dawning. Damn it, I completely forgot he added that counter to his hand earlier. I was so busy worrying about Cypher and how to deal with it, I completely slipped my mind, he thought. He then sighed a bit and broke into laughter. He smiled at Dookie. You got me, bud. Ah! Caesar Ragnarok disappeared in the mist as the monster roared. Dante sighed. I end my turn. It's Dookie's turn. It's 1200. Dookie drew his card. It's time we end this. Dante adjusted his duelist and called out, Hey Dookie. Yeah? Dookie replied mid-thought. Go ahead and attack with Cypher, Dante said, nudging his head towards the remaining trap card, Astral Barrier. Dookie chuckled, catching on immediately. If you wish. Cypher! Divine Starstream! The Master Dragon leaps a blinding light, aiming directly at Dante. I use Astral Barrier's effect, Dante declared, making the attack on my Copernicus a direct one. Dante spread his arms wide, bracing himself as the attack hit him dead on. Dante's life points, 0. Dang, he loses the first duel. But to be fair, he was going up against a fully experienced Dookie Darkwolf, so the fact that he held his own and put Dookie to a bad situation is props enough on its own. It's one of those situations like, it doesn't matter that you win, the fact that you got here is impressive enough. Anyway, the duel field flickered as the holograms fade, both duelists standing amidst the silence for a moment. For a moment there was no sound, just the weight of the battle they had fought with each other. Then the crowd erupted into cheers and applause. The air buzzed, filled with the buzz of excitement and admiration. Dante wiped the sweat from the brow, letting out a deep breath as he sighed and leaned forward and shook Dookie's hand. Good game, Dookie, he said with a grin despite the loss. That was our last stop, Dookie replied with a thumbs up. The pride in his voice clear. Nick, however, was quite the buzzkill as he pointed to the field with sudden realization. Wait a second, that set card on Dante's was Liberty at last. He could have used that to live another turn. He threw the game! Aiden folded his arms, glancing to the field to Nick. Look at the field in hand he had. Dante had nothing, basically. Sure, Dookie would have just left with 2 monsters left, but anything Dante could top deck wouldn't have changed anything. His chances of winning were beyond slim. Why prolong the inevitable? Ava raised an eyebrow, giving Aiden a playful nudge. You know, Aiden, you're kind of a pessimist. I'm not a pessimist, Aiden replied calmly. I'm a realist. Big difference. Reminds me of the frickin' Sherlock quote. Look, Anderson, I'm not a psychopath. I'm a highly sophisticated sociopath. Learn the difference. Anderson, stop talking. Lower the IQ of the entire street. That show had so many banger lines. Too bad the show ended up being crap. Anyway. Dante chuckled as he turned to Dookie. Next time, I'm beating you. Dookie laughed heartily. Can't wait. How about we keep this little rivalry going throughout the school year? You're on, Dante said with a grin. The two clasped hands, performing an eccentric handshake of friendship they made over the summer. Miss Boba jolted to awake from sleep. Alright, stop my heart for a minute there. Sorry. She clasped her hands together as she spoke. Well, that was wonderful. That was a wonderful duel, Dante. Dookie, you both showed excellent skill and how much you've improved over the summer. Thank you, Miss Boba, Dante said with his warm smile of appreciation. Yeah, that duel was great, Dookie added, although his thoughts betrayed him. Wait a second. She was asleep for most of the duel. Miss Boba flipped lazy through her notebook, then smiled. Oh, now let's see who's next on the list. She paused dramatically before looking at the 2 students in the crowd. Looks like next it's time for Nick and Tanner to duel. I trust you two already. Tanner let out a nervous laugh, scratching the back of his head. As ready as I'll ever be, Miss Boba. This is the problem with this. Is just like, how do you follow that up? That's like starting with the main event. It's like, okay, okay, that's different, but also who starts with the main event? Actually, they did it like one pay-per-view and then never again. It was an experiment. The experiment failed. They tried, you know. Anyway, Nick cracked his knuckles with a confident smirk. Let's do this. As the two stepped towards the field, Ava nudged Dante, who was still wiping sweat from his forehead. She pointed at Eve, who stood lingering near the edge of the crowd, her eyes fixated on Dante. Looks like someone has a pretty dedicated fan watching, Ava teased, her light tone and a mischievous grin. Maybe all that blushing wasn't just from the duel. Dante glanced towards Eve, and her face turned bright red the moment their eyes met. His heart skipped a beat. But what? No way, Ava. Stop it! Ava laughed, clearly enjoying the reaction. Oh, come on, Dante. It's obvious. You two are like magnets waiting to stick to each other. She held up her hands, pushing her 2 fingers together dramatically. See? Boop! And look at that, I can pull you two apart, and here comes the smooches! Shut it, Eva! He shouted, his voice crackling slightly. Across the way, Alice had been listening in, her grin widening as he joined the conversation. Yeah, Dante, maybe next time you duel, she'll be cheering louder for you so the whole school can hear. She might even faint when you win. Dante flattened, his eyes waving in front of him. I don't know what you're talking about. Alice then skipped over to Dookie with exaggerated speed, yelling to him, You could have gone a little easier! Dookie yelled back. What? Why? Because Eve was watching, Alice replied with a hushed tone, a playful gleam in her eyes. You could have let him show off a bit more. Dookie threw his hands up. I thought he showed up enough, Alice. I started with a tea set and he opened with his entire extra deck meat and cheese board, he whispered. To be fair, Dookie's not wrong. It's just like, what do you mean show off more? What do you want to do? Something like G.O.D.? Oh wait, he can't. Alice, wait. Some of the freaking DDD Pendragon thing that was in the structure deck. That thing that no one plays. For good reason. No, what was it? Spooky, you want to talk about bad DDD cards? We talked about that 2000 fusion spell thing in Discord. That Pendragon is probably the worst DDD. What's the worst DDD card? There's a debate. Well, DD, I guess, in general. Anyway, let's get back to the story. We're almost at the end. Alice waved him up. Okay, I know, but come on! Imagine how smitten Eve would be if... Dookie cut her off, grabbing her in a light headlock. Okay, that's enough. Okay, that's it. Noogies for you! Alice squealed, laughing. Ah! No! I just want my cousin to have a boyfriend! Dookie smiled. Well, we'll get them together eventually. They don't need to become cute. They don't call me Cupid of Roseville dueling high for nothing. Who calls you that? Meanwhile, Eve finally gathered the courage to approach. She tapped Dante gently on the shoulder as he turned around, startled. You did great, Dante. I knew you'd put up a good fight, Eve said, and her shy smile was softening the words. Dookie stood there, frozen for a moment, his cheeks still burning red, before quickly comprehending things. Thanks, Eve. I'll do better next time. For a moment, the two stood in tension, in quiet tension, their eyes lingering on each other for a little too long. Dookie leaned towards Alice, whispering, You know, maybe they don't even need us. Alice whispered back, You have a point, but I think we could speed up the process. Ava noticed the two whispering, arching an eyebrow, and then suddenly appeared behind them. What are you guys talking about? She asked with a teasing grin. Nothing! Dookie and Alice said in unison. Aiden standing nearby smirked. You two are awkward lovebirds, just as much as they are. Ava ignored him and turned back towards Eve. Anyways, don't worry, Eve. Dante's just warming up. He'll be ready for the next duel in no time, if he's not too distracted. Dookie shot her a glare, while Eve giggled softly. The sound like bell in the warm air to him. Oh wait, no, that is the school bell. We're late for class. Miss Bowman clasped her hands together. Nick, Tanner, get started! As Nick and Tanner stepped forward, Dante stepped down to watch, letting out a sigh. The faint shimmer of a spirit manifesting behind him. D'Arc, her blade resting lightly on her shoulder. Seems like we have further training ahead, Master. D'Arc said, her voice warm and loyal. Yeah, she just kept getting bounced back and back and back. I'm not gonna lie, I expected to be like, okay, she would keep getting bounced back and then she's gonna get the killing blow at the end of the duel. No, she just got bounced continuously. Oh well. Anyway, Dante nodded, his gaze fixed on the field. I need to get stronger. And not just to keep up with Dookie, but also, his eyes drifted to Ava, who stood chatting with others, her carefree demeanor making the strength he knew she carried for her. D'Arc smiled faintly. I'll be with you through it all, Master. I am eternally in your service. She did a salute to Dante. Dante smiled and did a playful salute back, as the spirit faded away, turning his attention back to the duel unfolding before him, his resolve stronger than ever. And then you can check out the entire Dragon First playlist with the link in the description there. I'll leave a link in the description to both channels from below. That was such a long thing. Not gonna lie, when I first started this, to be like, okay, this will be done in like, I don't know, a half hour, an hour, something like that. No,
No. Or that's Spooky's writing style, you know? I can't say I've never been like that, though. We're just like, okay, I started writing. Make me stop. Overall, though, I do think it was really well done. You know, we said how they lost their parents. They all met. Oh, sorry. They set up the parents. They went to Italy. They moved to Astropia. They met Dookie and his buddies. They all hung out and became the best of friends. Then the parents left, and then they all went to school, and then they had a duel, and you know, love at first sight and all that stuff. You know, it at the end of the day, it's like a wholesome big thing. It's like I liked it overall. It was a lot in one chapter. Like, let's be real, it was a lot in one chapter. Maybe it could have benefited from being 2 chapters. Like, you have chapter 1 be like they all sit up in school, and then chapter 2 is like, okay, here's the duel thing. This is where the duel is. So this is the one you actually care about. But you know, overall, I still think it was good. Like, even despite the fact it was long, and boy, was it long. It was good, and that's what matters. And to be fair, some of the length was me starting to speak English and making a wisecrack every 5 minutes. So, yeah, I can't say this is all your fault, Spooky. This is me as well. But overall, yeah, that was a good opening to quests, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I'll enjoy even more when it's animated again, or who knows, maybe when Chapter 2 comes out. Time will tell that tale. But overall, great work that I'm glad I finally finished reading and checked out and all that stuff. And I got it done before Christmas, so I'm happy with myself at the very least. We got James to read quests before GTA 6. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you next time. Later.